I'm Peter Haddock. I'm here at Rail Live with Richard, Head of Tru Plant, but Richard also now Head of Tru Rail.
Indeed, yes.
And the big launch here at Rail Live for the Tru Rail business. Part of now the expanded group, which if people don't understand what's happening in the group, tell us a little bit about all the different companies now.
Yeah, so the business is made up of a multitude of different divisions. So we've got the earthworks division, demolition, as well as the vehicle rental, aggregates, concrete. And now moving on with the plant. Obviously, the plant's a big part of that.
Yep.
Then we thought we'd introduce the rail arm to that to complement what we offer, as well as basically offering an off-track package, effectively.
Right, so the thing about the rail industry is it's a lot more complicated, isn't it? You know,
Yes.
there's a lot more
Red
things that
tape
you've got to-
involved and everything else. Yes, definitely.
And so there's a big focus on safety as well as the performance and obviously training and bringing people through.
Definitely.
We were mentioning earlier about the fact that you as a group, we've got an apprenticeship program as well now, which
Certainly
you're
do.
expanding.
Yep.
So tell me a bit, why the rail industry?
If I'm honest, the rail aspect of bringing it to the civils, well, actually mixing the civils with the rail, is really because there seems to be that skill shortage.
Correct.
Between them both, if I'm honest. So you would tend to go down an on-track rail plant route, or you'd go basically civils and work on highways, motorways, and whatever it might be. So I thought, well, there's a gap here that we can try and fill. So we decided that we would bring in operatives, either skill set or already there, and actually adapt the new apprenticeship scheme into it to bring them into PTS training, to develop the skills of actually working on track. But really the crossover with the plant and equipment. So we have obviously a huge fleet of civils equipment that we can actually adapt to go on highway and rail. So we put slew limiters, height limiters, track locks, remote banksman cutouts. Thankfully, with the backup of X-Watch. So we're just basically trying to bring a new element to the rail market.
And I was talking to one of your suppliers, Road Rail, basically, and they have told me a little bit about what they've been doing with your rail plant. So tell me a little bit about that and the specification that you've gone for, which is actually above the standard, isn't it?
Indeed, yeah. So as you'll see on these sort of machines that are behind me, we've installed the slew limiters device, the height limiting device, the way loaders, as well as we've actually changed the beacon system on the roof as well, so that we can actually isolate the green and orange beacons for when we're working near to track, so it doesn't distract the train drivers. So we have a purple visual light on the side that shows that the equipment's in its slew limited device, effectively. So we've done that. Track locks as well. So we're actually eliminating them actually working beside the track. So basically working parallel with the track at all times. So we can actually isolate the tracks from movement, as well as the offset booms as well on the smaller range. So we can actually lock the arm in position before it gets to a point of danger, effectively.
And I think with all of that, that's taking your knowledge from the civil sector, but it's also saying, look, we've now got technology that can help us do that.
Yes.
The training and operators, I call them the brains inside the machine, the operators. But what we're seeing with safety solutions like that is the operators having almost a support team member in the cab with them.
100%, definitely. So we're also trying to introduce as well a familiarisation course. For actually, once they are developed and skilled as such, that's there is no gap between PTS training and then actually using this equipment beside the track. So we want to bring in an element of rail safety training, effectively, that goes alongside MPAWS and CPCS. So that we can actually have a bit more familiarisation of working close to a track with one of these items of equipment.
And that becomes almost an accredited training that sits with that operator.
Definitely is indeed, yes.
So that upskilling.
So we'll effectively have a familiarisation card or an authority to work card, is what we call it in the railway. A QR system card, effectively, that would have their different skill sets laid out between what they can actually undertake on track.
And I think that's really important, folks, because when people are investing in their skill sets and they're doing things like this, you're adding value to that individual. But obviously, you're also adding value to your business.
We are indeed, because what we have noticed is that there's a big gap that you're not getting the relevant training until you turn up on site.
Yes.
And often, as we all know, the actual work site isn't a training ground.
No.
So especially in this type of environment within the railway, it's all very time critical. it's all very safety critical, as we appreciate. So so that's why we're trying to push that into another avenue to sort of fill that void, really, of training.
Now, talking about the wider business, the Tru Plant business, yes. I've seen a lot of arrivals of a lot of kit recently. What's the investment strategy there, and where are you moving towards?
Yeah, so we've obviously diversified our range off. We've got a whole new fleet of cats now coming, as you may have seen with the dozers. That really for us is the 2D element of what we're trying to bring in as much as the 3D.
Yep.
We're obviously pushing to do a lot of GPS training for our staff, and trying to push them all down to that route really effectively, so we can offer it across the 360 range as much as the dozer range. Once again, JCB, big investment again.
Yep.
With the 140 series. So yeah, huge investment in those, and yeah, watch the space with those guys really.
Fantastic. Well, great to finally meet you.
Once again, thanks so much.
Brilliant to see the Tru Group expanding, with getting on track with another element to the business, and great to hear about the investment really in skills and training. I think that's absolutely vital to our 100%. Sector, and I really would like to come down and meet some of those apprenticeship and see the vision that's moving forward, and there's an awful lot of equipment arriving, so let's get on site as well. Cheers.
Thanks so much.